Hello, B-Town. So, continuing on in my Meet the Candidate series, I am sitting down with Jen today. Jen is running. She's new this year. And I'm hoping this gives you guys an opportunity to meet her, see where she stands on some issues. Like I said this every interview, you guys submitted some great questions. And we're going to get right into it. So, everybody, this is Jen. And introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Jen Sciortino. I'm a 13-year resident of Bordentown now. I recently bought a home on Mary Street last year. One of the upsides to the pandemic, I guess, if you can call it that, was having time to work on a home.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, yeah. I remember when you were on Burlington, Farnsworth, and...
I've lived on a number of pockets of town, so... Which is good because it's given me a chance to meet so many different people over the course of my time here. And I'm running because I love this city first and foremost. That's what I tell almost everybody I meet.
Now wait, I didn't get to that question yet.
Oh.
Well, tell us a little about your background first too. Like, what do you do? Where have you gone to school?
So I'm a proud graduate of our state university. I went to Rutgers for English and journalism.
Okay.
So I've always loved to write and been using that to do government communications for going on 25 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you've been with the state that long.
Well, I've been with the state probably about 18 or so years. I started out working for city government. I worked for the city of Perth Amboy for about 6 years.
Okay.
So
what did you do there?
I was their public information officer, so my primary job was keeping the public informed. Did all kinds of communications for them. And there's a lot of parallels, I've been thinking about this lately too, with Perth Amboy and Bordentown. Very different in many respects, but they both have colonial history ties, lots of history. They're situated on the water, they have a walkable downtown, and certain areas in need of redevelopment at the time when I worked there. So there was a lot of experience I gained there that I think could be very useful, in addition to seeing how municipal government works from the inside, which is, I think, a good experience to bring to the table as commissioner.
And what do you do for the state now?
So I work for the State Treasury Department now. I'm their Director of Communications. So I oversee the communications we have 13 divisions. Treasury is one of our biggest departments in the state. Everything from handling the communications aspect of a $40 billion budget, public finance, property management and construction, taxation. There's so many relevant issues that Treasury oversees that I think would be helpful in the role of commissioner as well. So,
yeah. Okay, now I'm going to get to that question. What made you want to run?
So you may have heard this before, but I love this city.
The cats.
Yes.
Actually, I wore my cat t-shirt today, too, in honor of you.
Here we go. Yeah, that was actually how I really started getting involved in the city. It was about a year after I moved here. I was sitting outside taking my Christmas lights down one year and sitting on the porch, and a cat literally came up and plopped itself on my lap. So
they know who to go to.
They do. They really do. So I called Bordentown City Cats, and most of you probably know Mac, and Mac is great at solving a problem, but also pulling you in to help solve that problem, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
I started getting involved with them, and helped run it for many years, oversaw it. We turned into an official 501c3. We established social media channels. We brought in new volunteers, which we're in need of right now. So if you're interested, we need some new blood. And that helped me meet so many people over the years. And that's really where I got to a feel for the heart and soul of this city.
I'll bet too, like working side by side with so many people from town volunteering, you got to see a really great side of the town.
The best side of Bordentown.
There's
just, there's not many cities like it.
No, there's not.
People are always so willing to pitch in when asked. And because we're a smaller group, we do rely on people helping us help them too, because we're not paid volunteers that can get out there the second you call. So I fostered that cat for a while until we found it a home. And yeah, it exposed the best sides of people because they have great hearts in this town.
Yeah, it helped you fall in love with the town in a way, you know.
It really did.
Cats always bringing people together. Now, how do you view your role as a public servant?
In the truest sense of the words, you're there to serve the public. You know, it's a privilege. First and foremost, the people hire you, and they're your boss essentially. So, yeah, I recognize that not a lot of people have time to do it. I do have more time than others to some degree, and I want to get back to the city at serving my friends, my neighbors, and even those I haven't met yet.
Yeah. Now we're going to get into the tough questions now. Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. With such a tough, unprecedented last year, how do you think our city did with dealing with the pandemic?
I think they did a very good job. We say this at work all the time. There was no playbook for this type of crisis. You know, there wasn't in every respect. So they rose to the occasion. Our small businesses were the ones that were, you know, impacted the most in terms of, you know, economically. Larger corporations fared well, but we are a city of small businesses, and they rose to the occasion with helping, you know, create the outdoor space with the grants that they provided to help sustain them. So I applaud everybody for pitching into.
Now, how do you plan on reaching the residents? I know there's always been talk on the Bordentown City Facebook page, people calling for, you know, more of a social media presence from the city, you know, to reach more people, you know, in this day and age.
Yeah.
So what are your plans on communicating and reaching out to the residents?
That's been a key point that I've been advocating for and talking to people, and, you know, in announcing that I was running. I really think in this day and age, every city should have social media channels, especially during the pandemic. You know, you couldn't just pop into City Hall or, you know, go talk to somebody downtown. It's a key place to go where people know they're getting reliable information, which can be hard to find on the internet sometimes. It's a way to communicate during emergencies, but also for routine business. I think it could help in every facet of the city's operations when it comes to street sweeping, events that are going on in town, when taxes are due, when volunteer opportunities arise. You know, there's so much we could be using it to better our communications in town, bring more people into the fold.
It's important these days. It's not like everybody picks up a newspaper and reads, oh, this is going on, you know, like.
It's official means of communication for a lot of forms of government now. It's not just the frivolous meme posting that you may or may not be familiar with.
Oh, I don't know about that, because I know we're going Facebook jail. Do you think our downtown is healthy and successful? What changes would you like to see happen?
I swore I turned my phone off. My apologies.
That's okay.
It is off. The scammers found a way to get through.
They always do. You know what? Maybe you should pick it up because it might be about your car's extended warranty.
Oh.
Okay. But yeah. Do you think our downtown is healthy and successful? And what changes would you like to see?
I think you'd have to put that to the business owners in terms of whether they're healthy financially right now. But I love our downtown. I think it has a lot to offer. I'd like to see perhaps fill some more of the empty storefronts, help prop all of our businesses up. One of the ideas we've been toying with is a pop-up shop based on the success of Bombadil plants that we've seen so far.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Perhaps, you know, there's a lot of different ways that, you know, we've been discussing how that could be implemented. But for budding entrepreneurs who may not have the means to rent a storefront, commit to a full year, multi-year lease, give them the opportunity to perhaps even partner with another shop, test the waters, see if their business plan needs any tweaking.
Great mentor program too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If there's a way to help coordinate with one of the landlords who's perhaps, you know, really in need of renting out a space that might be empty.
That's a great idea.
There's a real opportunity there.
Huh. How do you feel about zoning and planning, and how does it impact our city?
I think it's crucial for effective development that, you know, and especially to take into account the needs and wants of our city, to make sure we don't have sprawl or undesirable industries coming in that might infringe on our quality of life.
Yes.
I absolutely think it's crucial to, you know, creating a cohesive city that doesn't pave the way for the proliferation of warehousing and whatnot that we've seen in other towns.
Well, that's another thing too, is the communication between us, the township, Mansfield, Chesterfield. You know, a lot of them say, well, it's in our town, it doesn't affect Bordentown City, so it doesn't matter. But in actual, it does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. Especially since we're all small towns, we're on top of each other, so to speak. Might be a good opportunity to create like a mayor's consortium or a municipal government consortium for the region.
That's a good idea.
Because of the warehousing issue in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Something to consider.
Now, as far as diversity, do you feel we have the representation with elected officials and appointed officials in town?
That they truly reflect our population?
Yes.
I think there's always room for improvement. That's one of the reasons I got into this race. As a woman, we've only had 2 women elected commissioner, as far as I know. I had 107 years, I think, since we've had a commission form of government. So as a woman, as somebody who chose to live here as an adult rather than growing up here, as somebody who rented for a long time before buying, I think I would bring a different voice to the table. And I'd like to see more diverse voices reflected in our various boards and commissions too, and committees, because I think that's important to really represent the needs of everybody.
It is. Here's a resident question. As someone who has seen this before, how do we address the process of gentrification, pushing out families who have been in town for generations? Shouldn't our workers be able to live in the same town they serve?
Absolutely. I think the key to that is affordability, which is another reason I've decided to run, making sure our town remains affordable. Property taxes, number one. There's so many residents I talk to and throughout my door knocking so far that have said they've lived here 20, 30, 40, 50 and beyond years, and I think every generation should have that opportunity to stay here, to age in place if they choose. So it all comes down to affordability. I think things like the light rail play a key role too. For people who might not have the means, it's an affordable mode of transportation to help them get to jobs nearby. So opportunities like that play a key role. Making sure that our storefronts are full, so they provide more business opportunities for people too who might not have the means to get around.
I think too, like, you know, you said you are not only, you're a homeowner now, a recent homeowner, but you were a renter in town for years. I'm a renter, and we have a lot of renters in town. So, you know, sometimes I feel like that's a voice that kind of gets lost, you know.
And some people like to say, well, renters don't pay property taxes, and that's simply not true because their rent helps pay for property taxes. So I think everybody deserves a voice.
Here's another resident question. I know New York City-based buyers who are interested in Bordentown. They thought the taxes were too high to be justified by the average school ratings. Why haven't our high taxes led to a better school system as per standardized markers?
There's so many layers to that question. I don't know. First of all, commissioners, you know, don't control the school portion of the tax levy. We only control the municipal portion of the levy. And I think when it comes to that, I've never been a believer in the notion that standardized testing or rankings reflect the true aptitude of a student or for the district as a whole. I think you need to take a more holistic view of that. And I know that we have a lot of truly committed professionals in our school system.
We do.
They're very attuned to that. I met with our Board of Ed reps, And I know that they've done, really deep assessment of what's needed. They've been implementing a number of things. I know they hired a full-time math teacher to help provide year-round algebra to at-risk students.
Oh, okay.
Finding other ways to incentivize students who are on that bubble, so to speak, that may not necessarily be inclined to go to college. Finding ways to incentivize them to take the PSAT or the SAT courses or even AP courses to help improve their outcomes. So I would disagree with some of the premise of that question, because I think we have a good, a very good school system.
And they had a tough year. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this,
everybody did.
The teachers, they really rose to the occasion. All of them.
Definitely.
How would you rate the maintenance and care to our open spaces and parks? What improvements or changes would you like to see?
Again, in almost every area, I think there's always room for improvement. Mm-hmm. I love our parks, especially during the pandemic. It was great to have those spaces to get out. You could see everybody outside all the time. I'd like to see, I think, improved lighting, especially in the Hilltop Park area. I know they were out for a while. Safety, I think, is another issue when it comes to making sure ice and snow are, properly removed. Mm-hmm. Especially when there's no lighting. That could be a dangerous combination. So I'd like to see some more improvements along those lines. I believe the Green Team was working with, I forget which organization, but Lime Kiln Alley, the park down there.
Oh, yeah.
They're, I think
so pretty
there's some
down there.
Plans to make pathways.
Oh,
there.
Really? Oh, that would be great.
Don't quote me on
Okay,
that.
all right.
But I just recently got appointed to the Parks Committee, so I'm
nice.
really looking forward to helping out
good.
in that area.
How do we make our town more marketable?
Again, that comes back to communications,
Mm-hmm.
which, like I said, is one of the reasons I was running, to help improve that area. There's so many things we could be doing. Social media is a key. It depends what type of marketing you're talking about. Are you to attract visitors and tourists, or are we talking about attracting investors and entrepreneurs?
I think this was more about attracting business to the business district. And
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, social media is always on the front line in terms of that. Maybe creating more landing pages on our website that can direct people to the DBA's website, to parking opportunities, letting them know what types of businesses we have. One of the things I did a long time ago when I worked for city government was a marketing magazine that was done, and maybe there's some room to partner with the DBA. I'd love to help do something.
That's a good idea.
Like that. Mm-hmm. That can be used to pass out, perhaps teaming up with the regional chamber of commerce more, and other nearby towns. There's so many avenues we could explore out there to attract more business.
Now, you just talked about parking. That's a big issue in town. Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on it, and what do you think could be done to improve that?
It's definitely an issue.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate where I live right now. It's not too bad, but I've lived in different neighborhoods where it was really tough. I think one of the things I've been talking about is the train station lot, and how can we better utilize that, especially to direct visitors there, to alleviate the congestion for residents. The shuttle's been a great resource, and maybe we can do more to market that, as well as marketing the train station lot to try and get the cars off of our street. There's other parking lots that we could be directing people to as well. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement there.
There is. How will the issue of unrepaired, damaged sidewalks, especially on the side streets, be addressed? Also, crosswalks, intersection safety.
That, I think, what I'd like to see is us to take advantage of some more of the funding streams that are out there, and state and federal grants to make improvements in that area, because I definitely think, some of our sidewalks can be treacherous, but it costs money.
Yeah.
And so that was another reason I got involved, working for the state and being well acquainted with a lot of the funding streams that are available. I'd like to help us go after more of that to alleviate the burden on our taxpayers while still addressing the needs we have.
I didn't realize there were so many grants and such out there for towns like this to repair sidewalks and all that.
The state has a transportation trust fund program right now that pumps roughly $2 billion a year into statewide transportation improvement projects. And DOT has another of other pedestrian-oriented grant programs.
Oh, okay.
Too.
One resident, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Do you feel it's important to have a presence in the community, events, vigils, etc., and why?
As a commissioner, you mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. It's the fabric of our community. It's important to show that you're invested and that you understand what's going on, what's on the minds of people, what their needs are. That's probably the greatest side of our town, is all the community-oriented events that we have that bring people together. You don't see that in a lot of towns that are more spread out and whatnot. Yeah, I think absolutely.
Oop. Oh my God, it's getting windy.
Yeah.
How important are volunteers to the city, and what can be done to support and encourage more people to volunteer?
A lot of these questions come back to communications.
They do.
Absolutely, they're the heart and soul of this city, like we already said. And I think, not to sound repetitive, but social media would be another key way to encourage them to get involved by making sure they're aware of the opportunities. I often say that people want to get involved, but they have limited time. So if they have to stop and research how they can get involved, that right there is an impediment. So.
I was saying, before I did these interviews, I did not even know how to go about signing up to volunteer or who to ask or where to go to. Yeah. I know each person I've interviewed so far, they said, okay, it's on the city webpage. But how many of us in town really, we don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even know how you got appointed.
Exactly.
So I think that's important that people, you know, people like me and you're running now, just
and
any of us.
Opportunities may come up from time to time, depending on whether somebody resigns or whether, you know, their term is up. So, yeah, keeping people aware of it to create more diversity in our representation instead of, you know.
Well, that too, like, we don't know what committees are even open, or like if somebody is going to retire, what spot's going to open up. So maybe some of us could say, oh, this is going to be open next month. Like, you know, so I think that is a very important point. And then, you know, I don't think it's being repetitive at all is, nice, you know, the communication and telling us how we can do this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite historical elements in town?
Can I say all of it? We have just so much history, and it's great. And the Historical Society, I love their social media.
They do great.
They've done such a great job. I've always been a Thomas Paine fan, and I love the Thomas Paine Park area, especially in the fall, is beautiful. I like our ties to that key part of history. Clara Barton House is great. I was just talking to Bonnie Goldman about all of their goals for renovating that building. We have such great Revolutionary War history.
We do.
I'd love to see that promoted more, perhaps create a walking historical trail.
Yeah.
One of the things I did for Perth Amboy, like I said, they have similar colonial history ties, was creating like a walking tour brochure with all the major monuments and notable areas in town.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that done.
That would be great. Tell us your top 3 priorities over the next 4 years.
Improving communications, number 1, which I think will improve transparency and lend itself to greater diversity in, you know, representation on our various boards and committees. Absolutely crucial is maintaining affordability, and what will be key to that is making sure that the Ocean Spray redevelopment is done right. I know that project is sort of up in the air right now. We don't know what the new developer's plans are, so I'd like to play a role in making sure that project is guided in a way that meets residents' needs and desires without infringing on our quality of life, like I said. And walkability. both in our sidewalks and our open space, making sure they're safe, accessible, and tapping into, like I said, various state resources to help fund those.
So I know you've been going out. This isn't one of the questions, but I'm just from what you said. You've been going out and about, walking and knocking on people's doors. From talking to people in town, has that changed some of the priorities? Maybe you thought going in, this is why I want to go in. But, you know, how do you feel now after talking to the people on board in Town City?
It's made me love the town even more, but it's also, yes, opened my eyes to other issues that I wasn't necessarily in tune with, in terms of improving police and community relations is one thing that people have talked about. Responsiveness is another, and it like I said, it's opened my eyes to issues that might not have directly affected me, but are a big concern to other people. And so I'm definitely taking them to heart and taking note and thinking about ways that we can address them if I'm lucky enough to get elected.
Oh, and you have a website too.
I do.
People
it's more
can.
of a landing page.
Is it? Can people email you there if they have any questions or concerns?
Jen for Bordentown City. Jen, the number 4, Bordentown City is both my Facebook and my Instagram handle, and you can find my contact information there. Also, Jen for Bordentown City at gmail.com. Jen with one M, yeah.
And tell us something you're proud of that you'd want people to know that, you know, maybe inspired you, or, you know, something you accomplished that maybe it kind of led you on the path to where you're going now.
I've always thought of myself as a consensus builder. I've pretty much able to get along with just about anybody. I've actually used that as a point of pride when I've been on job interviews and stuff.
I'll say knowing you, that is true.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what you need in an elected official, especially when we have a lot of important issues on tap that need to be addressed. You can't afford to have somebody who is, you know, divisive or will push people away. Consensus building.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
That is a good accomplishment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call it a compliment, but...
Well, it'll take a long time to get there. I didn't want to say that. No. So is there any message you'd like to send out to Bordentown City, the residents? Little parting words to them?
I would be honored to serve you. It would be a true privilege. I didn't get into this lightly. I got into it, like I said, because I love this town, and I know that it requires an enormous amount of work, and I don't usually give less than 100% to anything that I'm truly committed to. So I would be honored to have their trust and serve this city for 4 years.
All right. Well, thank you, Jen. This was such a good talk. I know. I'm so
the most serious I've ever been.
I know. I didn't make any crude jokes. And I'm really surprised we didn't talk about cats more. But we can do a segment too.
We got that.
Yeah, we did. But you know what? We really have to get into it. I think we can get into more detail about cats. So the end of my video cut off. But I just wanted to thank Jen for meeting with me. I really enjoyed our talk. You know, you have some great ideas. And everybody, take the time to watch all these videos. Your voice matters. Local elections matter. Let's get our voter turnout numbers up for our local election. You know, they were up for the last big election, but let's get the local one out. May 11th. See you at Cars Lake. Have a good day, B-Town.